Hello and welcome to Effective Git, Better Commits Through Inspecting History and Code Archaeology. The title, like most commits, is a lie. I'm Andrew Grangard. I'm in from Los Angeles. If any of you find your way out there, I run the LAPM, and we'd be happy to move our meetings so you can talk. Spasm on the Twitters and et cetera. So a quick overview of the plan here: a premise, some evidence, an appeal to your self-interest, some model commit messages, some tools, and some examples. Because what is my premise? My premise is that clean and clear commits are useful. They're useful to your community and to your coworkers, and they're useful to you. Because taking a moment to compose your message or recompose your message is that same thing that we hated doing in English class, of taking your rough draft and actually turning it into something that conveys information. So that's my goal, and my plan is to get you there through the back door of showing you why it's useful and then make you write them. And I came across this lovely cone. Ignore that it's from a pro-Ruby anti-Perl group, but it's the idea of, hey, I don't need to write good commits because no one else is reading them. But there's always a few people involved. There's you, there's past you, and there's future you. And we all know about that axe murderer who's reading your code. Don't let that be you, to past you. So yes, so you're impatient, so let's give you some evidence. Let's just start with the idea that we spend more time reading than writing our code. Maybe people outside our community don't think we do that, but we do, and it is readable, and it is lovely. And you're lazy, so the best way to convince people is to improve your code base is to improve your code base. And then you'll have examples for other people to copy and to continue. And surely you have the hubris to realize that everyone is going to look at your wonderful project, and it should be pretty, because we'll make fun of you. We will. There are examples later. So here's some models for commit messages and some anti-models hidden in there. So first, from our friends over at stopwritingramblingcommitmessages.com, which is a highly entertaining site of one page. It scrolls off the side. I've reproduced it for you so you can get the message without scrolling. But hey, do you like to read long rambling paragraphs in one line that you have to scroll? You're doing it wrong. And what's really nice about this is that's easy to remember, and it's got a nice link to the Teabag repost from Mr. Pope, which is a good 7 years old now, so you have no excuse not to have come across this. But the idea is that your commit message is formatted a bit like an email. You've got a subject, a new line, and then some backup material to help explain the subject. And our Git tools are built around that subject message being about 50 characters. It makes your Git logs, your Git inspections more useful. And I know you're thinking, I don't use Git log and I don't inspect. But you will once you see how, and it's lovely and fun. So yeah, you might be looking at this and say, hey, it's a wall of text. But if you're looking at a commit message, you want this wall of text because it sets you up for looking at the code to do your code review. Code reviews, anybody? Who has to have their code reviewed before it hits the main line? Who does that on their own projects when they're the only person? There's a couple of us. Okay. Even when you do it yourself, you put yourself in a different mindset and you see different things. But yeah, paragraphs, new lines, bullet points, definitely a link to discoverability. So if you have a trouble ticket system, put a link in here. Don't just put a link to the ticket. Explain enough information to get started. And what goes in here is not what you did, but why. What's the business rule? Why did we add this feature? It could be, Crazy Joe wanted this feature, so fuck him, right? That's a valid, if inappropriate, commit message. And then when you look at the code and you're like, oh, that's why it's, slapdashery. This one at robots.bot. I don't know if you can actually read that URL, but 5 useful tips for a better commit message. Number 4 was very useful, which is you should be answering these questions. Why is this change here? How does it do what it does? And then if you know what the side effects are, you should list them. Or like the future effects. Hey, this is only good for X, but if we ever do Y, this is going to be broken. Now, unlike a commit message, a comment alongside the code, that comment's going to get stale. But this is fixed in time with the code. So your commit message is always current, at least as current as your brain was when you wrote it. Here's just a random. So I went to the Linux source code and picked 2 commits completely at random. This one, kind of weak, but solid. Nice subject. Hey, we're replacing scatterwall SGNext with SGNext. And it's like, oh, hey, we got to use the generic because they're both equivalent and the other one is redundant. Right? That's enough information. But then also, hey, see these other commits, see these other tickets, who signed off on it? A second, slightly longer one. It's commit, and there's a message, and it's better. Oh, this is good, this was bad, here was a bug, now it's all fixed. Plenty of information. Then we have the anti-model from CodeLord's Bad Commit Messages Hall of Shame, which actually does have some, some nice positive messages too, but some of your least favorites. Bug fix, more work, minor changes, whoopsie, WTF. YOLO is becoming a popular one. Or work on feature blah, like your ID just like committing and saying, hey, do you want to use that last commit 20 times? There's no information there, so why are you doing it? Now you can do that on your feature branch. You own your feature branch. Until you merge it, you own it. Make silly little commits as you go, and then coalesce them into useful features. So that's okay on your rough draft. That's not okay on your finish. A message of just fix bug blah, again, doesn't give you any context other than, hey, go look at the bug tracker, which you didn't fill out either. And if it doesn't need a comment, it should be very simple, like change constant X to be 10. Well, you're probably doing that, but why? So, hey, update the constants, remove some magic numbers, whatever it is. And super long commit messages, woo, something like 100 words, lots of characters, woohoo. Emoji go in there as well. So yeah, 50 characters or less, stick with it. And why? Because you'll see if you start looking at your Git logs, they format nicely on your little screen. It's a very small screen over here. And as I said, there really are people out there shaming you for your bad commits. Commit logs from last night. I found some that were safe for YAPC. Most of them are like this middle one. And I'm pretty sure they're pulling these out of real commit logs. They're just trolling GitHub for things. I fixed that thing and it was stupid. Like, none of these are useful. Yes, in the moment you just want to fix it and get it out there, but if you're going to do that, go back and fix it. So some of the tools I use. So this is a very Git-centric talk. It was in the front slide. Everyone a source control user of some kind, for the most part. Copy.back, okay. Git users. Moderate to advanced Git users. Wrote Git? Okay, good. TIG, which is both super useful and a total crutch that keeps me from learning more. It's an ncurses-based, really beautiful tool. And Fugitive, which is a Vim plugin, and I'll be showing how to use some Vim tips with that, because awesome. So Git, you should know some of these. So, right, it's the stupid content tracker. We just had a lovely talk in here on Git and how to change your history. And it didn't have examples, so I'll be giving you some examples, should I have time. So some of the commands, just checking out a branch, checking it out, making a named feature branch. For some people, that's going into the moderate, but your life will be much happier. Like, really, branches are cheap, they're wonderful, and they're a great way to just, new temp directory, do some stuff, throw it away. Logs, commits, branches. Maybe you're not using rebase and amend, and these are good. I don't actually do much amend in this, but it lets you just change the head commit as you go along. I prefer to actually just do lots of fix-ups for it and then squash them. So checking outs and logs, commits, you know all these. So TIG is a text mode interface and curses. So if you're a terminal junkie, anybody? Yeah, that's up. So I don't want to pull up, I don't even want to pull up a web page. I do sometimes. I go look at my commits there, but I like to look in my terminal as close to my browser, my editor as I can, so that I can do it quickly. It does a whole bunch of things that I don't use. I just use it as an interactive exploratory tool. So, and then Fugitive, it's a Git wrapper so awesome, it should be illegal. Not only that, he then goes on to say, not going to lie to you, Mayware will be the best Git wrapper of all time. Check out these features. And I suggest you go there and check them out because they're awesome. Fugitive users, any? A little? We have 5 or 6. Okay. You know, if you use Emacs, I guess it probably works. I assume that other editors have some sort of watered down version. So, religion, operating system, whatever. I love it, you know. I remember my Emacs days. No, I don't. So, and this is what I think of every time I go to look at the Fugitive website. Anybody? Real Ultimate Power? That's right. Are you ready to get pumped? 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 All right. We're going to click the yes button then, baby. All right. So the Fugitive things that I like to use, git blame. So the commands in Fugitive are all capital G, and then pretty much the git command that you're used to. Sadly, there's no gannotate, which is a little more neutral. But git blame pops up a side-by-side with your current file showing you the revs per line. And it's way more useful than looking at the scrolling output of git blame from the command line. Git status shows you, pops up a new window with a live version of git status, and as you check things in and out, it will update. And from within it, you can update and add and remove files. I've started using that around 2 this morning when I was writing this talk, and it's awesome, but didn't make the slides. And glog is one that I forced myself again to learn and practice with because it's kind of ridiculous. So it will pull up all the old revs of the current file and put them in the quick list so you can pop through them. Yeah. Did I have a hand? No, just a hand. Cool. And so with glog, you can open them all up, and you can go, and I think actually colo, that's a typo. But cnack cprove to move through the list, and if you're using vim unimpaired, also from tpope, it's just bracket q to go boom, 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 up and down through the history file. So an introspection example. So I pulled down Perl 5. So let's do some example of what I do with a new code base of, hey, I want to jump in, I want to look around, get a feel for what's going on. So the examples, viewing the history of the whole thing for one file, context of one commit, exploring the context of a line, and viewing all the revisions with cope. That's cope, that's how we spell it. So we clone it. If you're on the Wi-Fi here, get it from GitHub, not from perl.org. That just didn't work. So yeah, so we pop in a TIG, and you get a live interface into your code. So you get your commits, and you can pop in and see the revs, and pop back up. And are these your commits, sir? Now, so this one was picked because this is a lovely commit message. Yeah, not the K. Williamsons. We need to talk. Yeah. No, I do not look at those. Which will be right after this. But again, just randomly walking through, I found this one. This was lovely. It's got a commitment. It references the bug. It says why, what it does, and it only modifies 2 files. So then I was like, hey, what's in pppack.c? I don't know. Probably should have noticed that there's really only a 1-line change. So it's changed to pp.c. pppack was kind of minimal, but I went with it as my example anyways. So let's go look at the logs for that for PrettyPack, or pppack.c. So a git log, pretty one line, shows git commit, the git SHAs, and just the subject of the commits. And there was a lot of them. There's 234 commits to this file, which is really too many for this example. But hey, let's jump in. We jump in. Here's pppack.c. How many people have been in there? You, obviously. 2, 3, 5. Excellent. This is my second time looking in the Perl 5 source code base, so it was really exciting. No. Yet here we are. But it was still fun nonetheless. So boom, like, hey, we're in it. Let's do git blame. Like, what happens? I do colon, g blame, boom. My window splits. It really is this size and just squishes the things. And now I can see per line who committed and when. And so I see, like, look, this was 2008 and that was 2001. Obviously, those are not going to be changed a lot. They're the head comment block. But we can then, hey, that's using up all the screen. Let's look at just the commit. C, commit, A, author, D, date. The other thing you can do with git blame is you can actually pick one of these and say, I want to look at it. Or I want to change what's in the other window. So if we hit O, we pop up the current rev, which was highlighted. And so I've now opened up rev A6 EC74. And there it is, boom. And now I can start scrolling up and down in the top window. And I can go up to the top and see who made that commit and what they had to say. So we just split off the pack unpack code from Nicholas Clark. Functional, it's a little short. It works, I suppose. I don't know the exact culture of this project and what is expected in a commit. There you go. So these came from somewhere else. They were all imported from Perforce. Oh, yeah, well then, if you got this many letters in, then you did good. All right, Perforce. P4, okay. But then you pop back to close that window, you're back in your git blame. And I was like, hey, let me go look at that rev I was looking at. Now, I wouldn't normally do it this way, but you could. You know, I had the rev number in my head, so I was like, let me go look for FC1BB3F2, because, you know, that's how I think of my commits. And so I found it, and now I've got my code on the right that's current. And I hit minus, and now it's rebase. It's gone to blame all of the lines relative to that rev. So in my right window is now everything as it was in 2015-02-18 when Hugo made this commit. And then I can collapse down and just see the line that I'm looking at, jump back over to the other window, and now I use git diff, which uses the built-in vim diff, but produces for you a magic slide of the other one, of the history. So now I can see my diff, and I can see it related to the relative files, and I can see how recent the files around it are. Again, this particular example, we didn't learn that much, but it was really fun. And if you do tilde, it says, hey, do actually dash and tilde, do parent and grandparent, but it's like, oh, show me what it was like before this commit happened, which is another fun way to just roll through your commits. Let me get past my, and now here's another one. I was like, hey, here's a comment. Let's see if it's still current. So I'm walking through, and there's a question. We have enough characters for the buffer. Do we have any problems? Where did that come from? We blame it. We say where it is. We hit enter. It pulls up that rev, and now we're actually in the code at that rev. But we're not in the code. We're in the commit. So we can now scroll around in the commit, see what was added, jump up to the top, see what the message was. This particular one, tweaked to remove not supported on this platform error messages, seemed to not really cover the fact that, you know, there was a bunch of 100 became 99, and I don't know what these magic numbers are. Again, no context for me. So for me as a person jumping in, obviously not the baby steps to go with, but still fascinating. And if you were to pop it up in glog, you could then pull up the 200 lines do cope to pop open the quick list, and now we can see each of the commits. And if we walk through and hit enter, the top window becomes the current commit. So again, I looked for the one I was looking for, hit enter, now it's up top. And then I close the quick list, and here I am just looking at it. And I can do a git diff. Actually, I do a git diff of not head, but of that rev, and I can see the difference between that and what was in the previous head. And then I can close the diff, and I'm back to the code. Let's see here. And unfortunately, my rewriting of history example, which was awesome, is probably not going to fit in the time. So I can let you go if you need to get drinks. If anyone would like to see an example of rebasing my production code that I did this morning, it is Python, so I'll warn you on that. But I did a feature under the gun last week, and so I broke all my rules, and all my commits were like single line messages to myself, like, hey, this is a work in progress. But I had no intention of merging this, but I had to push it and sync it a bunch of times to the machine that was actually testing it. So we walk in, we look in, what's going on in the commits. I find one of the files that changes. I find the commits that are related to that. So I tell TIG to look just at a particular file name, so it just shows me the changes for that. I look in, apply the knowledge that I have because I just wrote it, what it should be doing. Now I go get my branch. I'm going to make a pretend tracking branch rebase so that I, as a snapshot, so I don't break my original branch, which was really useful for making the slides. Get the current merge base. Most of the time you won't need this, but get merge base will show us where you diverged from your upstream, which can be useful if you're rebasing non-interactively, but regular rebasing, which will move that branch point maybe when you didn't want to. So here's an example of rebasing one file. I rebase interactively from that commit. Okay. From that merge commit. I pick these three, reorder them, which actually changes their git order, and now we'll rebase them all. Yay, success. And then I can look at them, and I can see they're my three up at the top of the git log. And now I will squish those three together because I checked the diff for them, and that's what I expect it to look like. So I go back into the rebase again, and now I use S for squash as opposed to F for fix up. Squash says, hey, open up an editor and commit these three together and let me update the message. So this is a terrible set of commit messages. First one, okay, not so good. And it becomes this. So catalog, we're adding these methods. Why we're doing it, they're both for this one-off importer that we're doing. These are the bugs from our bug system. This one is useful for the actual code, and this one is useful for testing it and interactive work. And then you do that, and you're done. I had at least one auto squash in there, so I did a fix-up commit with the message of fix-up, and then the commit message. And you auto squash, which you used to just be able to type auto, but now there's a couple auto flags. So rebase auto squash will bring this up. It'll automatically put fix up there for you, and you quit, and it's merged. And then you see, hey, how many files are changed? You go back in, you do more, you do more. You get your commits down, you look at them, you rebase them again, you reorder them, you fix your messages, you rebase again, you rebase again. Like, oh, the text utils. Oh, well, it was actually merged with this other one. Yes, so let's go fix that one. I wish it went this fast. And rebase, it makes your old branch a lie. This is true. And you know what? I pushed my old branch to our shared repository. But you know what? It's my feature branch, and I own it, and I can rebase it all I want. Yeah. And so can you. Yes. So yeah, this was all due this morning, so I was rebasing it last night. Freebase it. Yes, I would like git freebase, and I'd also like git flame, which is like git blame, but they'd be colorized. to show you the age. So if someone would like to write that for me, that would be awesome. Thank you. And you can use the name, Get Flame. I don't know if anybody out there does flame graphs. Tim, looking at you. All right. And then at the end, you get to do, where do I get to push? Come on, push dash F. Fuck you. And ship it. There we go. And push dash F. It's my branch, I can do that. Oh, that's weird. There are more slides. No, there aren't more slides. Some of my slides disappeared. Apparently someone rebased my slides. And the only one that's missing is the one that says, hey, we're done, do you have questions, and my name, and what have you. So just remember, Simba loves you, and come visit LA. Thank you. I'm Spasm on Twitter and wherever, and please come ask me questions, and I'll help you rebase your stuff. It's fun.